Hi everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. Today on John's Briefs here at C2 Tactical in their conference room with the barrister Baron himself, Tim Forshee from Forshee Law. Again, get your NFA trust from Tim. You should have an NFA trust now. Stamps are coming back so fast.
If you don't have a can, you're missing it, man. You're missing out.
They're fun, right? They make shooting super
I remember
giggly.
I don't know if I ever told you this. The very first time I bought a suppressor, I hope my wife's not watching this. I have triplet daughters, and I don't know if they were young or perhaps not even born. I hate to say it, perhaps my wife was even pregnant. I don't remember, but I bought a suppressor. And I remember at the time thinking, this is the most selfish, stupid $600 I've ever spent in my entire life. I don't need this. This money should go into my kid's college account, which it actually did because I sold all my guns to pay for my kid's college later. But anyway, and I remember thinking, I just had a black cloud. I should never have done this. And then I took it out and shot it for the first time. And I'm like, why do I not have one of these for every gun that I own? And
I need 10 of these.
It's like, it just changes the whole experience so much more favorably. You got to get a suppressor.
I wanted to talk to the litigator extraordinaire about a recent one that we had on the channel of an attack inside a courtroom and ask him about how often this kind of stuff happens. To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below. We're in court here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The defendant here has been charged with murder for murdering his girlfriend, and her stepdad and uncle decide at this plea hearing that they are going to tune this guy up. And they come over the railing from the audience there, from the gallery, and they start beating him. Now it's off camera a little bit, so we're not gonna get to see all of it. We see it change kind of. The accused dad jumps in there and he starts fighting the two dudes, beating up his son and beating up the bailiff. Then a couple of the ladies from the other side come in, and it's a WWE Royal Rumble here. Finally, the bailiff is going to tackle the accused, and then the one gal there hits him with a chair, and our bailiff is finally, he's got his taser out, is going to kind of start in here and start pointing a taser at people, and they are going to start kind of backing away. They did put out a call, fight in progress in this court, and then eventually here in just a second, a whole bunch of deputies are going to show up and take everyone into custody. You saw Uncle there catch a kick to the face. Now, both stepdad and uncle were charged with assault on a peace officer here, which is an aggravated fourth felony in Albuquerque in New Mexico, which is punishable by up to 18 months. The uncle said, totally worth it. They're willing to take it, no problem. The accused not only is accused of killing his girlfriend, but also a second murder that apparently happened a couple of weeks before. So he's not exactly a Boy Scout. The lady there that hit with the chair, she was charged with assault on a peace officer as well. So there's felonies to go around for everyone here. Lots of lessons. So now you've seen it, and what a fracas, a Donnybrook. And you know, the funny part is the family said, yeah, we're gonna get assault charges, but worth it.
We don't care.
Yeah, worth it.
I mean, and I get that. You know, when you tune up the guy that killed your family member, I get. In fact, I just had a sentencing hearing last Friday, less than a week ago. My client was very, very close to being charged with manslaughter. We were able to keep it away from manslaughter, but he still had to take an aggravated DUI. Ooh. But his fiance did not survive the motorcycle accident. And so we had to go to a sentencing hearing, and the entire family, we watched a 1 hour long slideshow, all the slides of this beautiful young girl's life. And it was just, everybody, including me, was crying. It was horrific. The judge was crying. And believe me, that family wanted its pound of flesh.
Yeah, for sure.
They did it the right way. But we can all feel for that. We all know, my God, to have a loved one taken away by an act of stupidity, we all get that. It's horrific, yeah.
A true story on my end, I got rear-ended by a drunk in 2000. And
you're talking about your vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got hit.
I want to make sure we're clarifying.
Got hit in a car by a drunk driver and blew out 2 discs in my back, cost me my commission as a naval officer. And I was on crutches when that guy got sentenced. He ended up pleading. He told them I hit him, even though he rear-ended me. You're
backing up really fast.
Yeah, he was doing about 90. I was doing about 45.
Oh boy.
I was driving a Honda CRX, by the way, a Coke can on wheels. Not exactly what you'd call a bastion of crumple zones, right? Yeah. That car didn't make it. And anyways, at his sentencing hearing, we had asked for a criminal restitution of the difference. I'd just bought that car a couple months previously. It was a giant pile of crap. And so we asked for criminal restitution of the difference between what the insurance company gave for me and it. And the prosecutor was like, he's never going to give that to you. They don't do that. That's going to be civil, but we can ask. I mean, but he's not going to give it to you, just FYI. So we're standing there in court. I'm on crutches, literally. I'm in uniform because I was an active duty Navy at the time, on crutches. And the judge said, Mr. Correa, I see you requested it was $2,700 in criminal restitution. Is that correct? I said, yes, Your Honor. I'd either like that or I'd like 5 minutes alone with him.
How could I not have heard this story yet? That is awesome.
And the judge said, $2,700 it is, Mr. Correa. Now,
do you have a quiet room? And I have my crutches. That'll suffice.
That's all we need, right?
Wow.
Son, you'll walk over, but you'll limp back. And the judge said, okay, we're going to give you $2,700 in criminal restitution. That was in 2000. We are now 2025. Do you know how much of that money I've collected? $175.
That's how criminal restitution goes. Yeah,
$175.
Yeah, which means he's probably still on probation and he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care at all. So he would not do his probationary stuff, and then every couple years I'd get a letter from the victims impact folks, and then they'd pull him over for something, get pulled over for speeding, revoke his probation, and go through all the crap again. He doesn't care. Anyways, one of the best things that ever happened to me, actually, because it got me out of Uncle Sam's Canoe Club and on to better things in life.
Well, it'd been nice if you made that choice yourself.
Yeah. Two back surgeries later.
Things work out.
Thank you for your interest in national defense, and don't let the door hit you where the Lord split you. But in this case, I mean, they beat him up a little. They didn't really get to beat him up much. And that's the first time I've ever seen that on camera. At least that's come across my desk. Yeah. How about you?
I've actually experienced it, I guess, twice that I can think of.
You took a beating in court?
No. I didn't take a beating. Once I had the defendant throw a microphone at me when I was judging, when I was on the bench.
Wow.
She turned a minor traffic case into a felony. So
I was going to say, assault on a judge is a bad day.
That's a felony, big time. The first one though was
did you pull a George Bush? Did you duck and have it not hit you?
She's throwing her shoes at me.
Yeah, throwing shoes at you.
The first one was when I was very very young. So just got my college degree, and I'm leaving to go to grad school. It's a long story about why I didn't go to law school first. I ended up going to grad school and getting a master's degree. But I had about a month and a half before I had to report to Missouri from Illinois for my new job in grad school. I was gonna run the maintenance department for the dorms as I got my degree.
Okay.
And I had about a 6-week window of opportunity. Well, I befriended during one of my internships as an undergrad. I befriended a local Superior Court judge in Illinois. We didn't call it Superior Court in Illinois, but and Chuck Whitty, if you're still out there, thank you. You're a wonderful, wonderful guy. You're a great influence in my life. But I got to be like an intern for Judge Whitty, and he knew I wanted to go to law school someday. And he was a good dude, so he just kind of figured out stuff for me to do.
Yeah. Hang out in my court for a minute.
I'd always seen. I don't know if anyone remembers the old TV show Petrocelli. Which was about a public defender in Pima County, Arizona. And I'm watching that as a 12-year-old in Illinois, and I'm thinking, Arizona, oh my God, that's so exotic. And he's helping innocent people. Man, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be Petrocelli, right? So I'm
just surprised when Tim was that young, they even had television.
Yeah, we had tubes, you bastard. So, but I remember I wanted to be a public defender because, man, that's just, people who are inappropriately charged with crimes and standing up for the champions of the people who can't speak for themselves. So I go into court, and this guy has been taken out of Pontiac State Prison to stand trial on a new charge of putting cigarettes out on his little girl.
Oh, man.
While he was out on parole. And the woman who's charged
Can we beat him with a stick?
The woman who's charged with defending him is probably 25 years old, and she's probably at the time making $27,000 a year. And this guy is this gigantic monster of a guy who you can tell lived in the weight yard in Pontiac. And they literally brought him into court with the jury present, handcuffed, with a mask, with a transparent mask because he was going to bite her or spit. And they chained him to the table, and that was how the trial proceeded. And he's spitting at her and lunging at her, and the table's rocking.
You got to understand, friends. I mean, that would generally be considered prejudicial to the jury.
But
if he's that big a risk.
What I learned from that was this woman is barely able to pay her rent, and her job is to try to defend this monster who's trying to bite her head off, who put cigarettes out on his daughter. And that's when I realized, I don't know that I want to be a public defender now. I think I want to pick and choose who I represent, and I don't want to be told I have to represent this guy. So he didn't successfully attack anybody, but that one always comes to mind, right?
Wow.
And then the one where the lady threw the microphone at me when I turned down her request for a public defender, and she threw a microphone at me. So personally, I've experienced those. But yeah, this happens more often. And we just had a judge that was killed in Chambers a few weeks ago. We had a guy who got access to a guard's gun in Atlanta and held the entire courtroom hostage for hours and hours. this stuff does happen. People, it's filled with emotion, and it's life-threatening. It's life-ending. I'm never going to see my children again. You're going to put me away for the rest of my life. What have I got to lose? I'm being convicted of murder. What do I have to lose? You see it more often than you think. I mean, the courtroom is a dramatic place, and anybody who's hanging out in courtrooms a lot will tell you that truth really is stranger than fiction. And some of the stuff that we've seen, Hollywood wouldn't believe it. They would say that would never happen, but it really did happen.
Well, and as a regular human, right, you don't get to take weapons into court. Like, you got Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary.
But what's a weapon? Is that phone right there a weapon?
Yeah,
if I
it can
smash you
be.
in the head with it? So, I mean, people are desperate. People do desperate things.
I'm not saying I've ever sat next to a deputy that I looked at and went, yeah, you're not going to use that gun. So if something pops off, I'm going to use yours.
So many times I'm next to a cop and I'm like, oh, if something bad happens, could you please let me have your gun? Because I know I could use it better than you. I just know that, It's, and it's not like I think that or I'm being arrogant. I truly know that.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
I mean, you would never look at him and go, hey, if something pops off, I'm taking yours because I'm better than you with it.
You got a backup, right?
Yeah.
Give me your primary.
Good.
Take your
I'm
backup.
taking that one. No, you're not going to do that. They'd take umbrage.
They would take umbrage.
They would take umbrage.
Almost undoubtedly, as well they should.
And thankfully, I mean, I haven't been in court near as often as Tim has, obviously, but the few times I've been there, we haven't had any problems with that. Although there have been a couple. I mean, the murder trial that I did in Iowa, the deceased's family was in court all the time, and they mean-mugged me pretty good.
Yeah. As far as getting the evil eye from people, oh my God, yeah, I've gotten that from both sides of the aisle many, many times, where you just feel like you're about to get lunged at.
Yeah. In that particular trial, in fact, I had to, after my testimony, leave, and they still had a few things to go. And when I was done, one of the court bailiffs, sheriff, right, deputy sheriff, walked me out of court.
Yeah.
And just come on,
Just made me think of another one. I was actually assaulted in court. I forgot this one. It was a family law case. I was representing the wife, and she was 91, and her husband was like 93, and they'd been married like 65 years.
She hit you with a cane?
It was the weirdest divorce I ever handled. And this guy weighed $104, and it was all skeleton. And he was being irrational and mean and stuff. So when we had a hearing, and I won, and we're walking back out, I'm literally helping my 91-year-old client, and he comes up to me and literally starts assaulting me like this.
You son of a gun!
And I'm probably 35 years old, and weigh 280, and I'm like, I was like, what do I do?
What are we doing?
What do I do? So I just turned around, walked back in the courtroom, and this guy's literally following me doing this, and went in and I got a deputy to escort me and my client out to the parking lot, and that was the end of it. I didn't call. But it was people do just weird things. Yeah, it's just very.
What, you didn't say he's coming right for me and draw a gun and shoot him?
Punch him in the throat.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy survived the concentration camp. I'm going to take him out in the parking. No, but it's just people do weird things in these situations.
Yeah, and emotions run high.
Very high.
Right. Another reason to stay out of court. So
everybody says litigation is civilized warfare, and my response to that is it's not that civilized.
It's barely civilized warfare.
So be aware.
So stay away if you can. And this kind of stuff does go down. I will say, I've had family interactions with really abusive people. In this case, again, in the case that we just watched, I mean, he had murdered his girlfriend, and girlfriend's mom and dad decided, nope, I'm going to get my pound of flesh, and this is the way I'm going to get it.
I think we can all relate to that.
This is one of those where I think that even if I'm, have any weight with the district attorney, I go, hey, can we talk about a diversion here? Yeah. I get it, maybe an anger management class, and we get a diversion on this, and we promise that, we write a letter of apology to the court kind of thing, and we call it a day.
I would be fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but so this stuff happens. Yeah, appreciate the insight, Tim.
You bet. Dumb stories, but helpful, I hope.